and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for the Cancer full moon that is taking place on the 17th of January, and it's taking place at 27 degrees 50 minutes opposing Pluto and Capricorn. So I will talk more about that, obviously, because that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm just finding it on my laptop because what I do is I write it up first and then I go through it. For those of you who haven't been on my channel before and haven't seen how I do my astrology readings, it's an intuitive astrology reading that comes through as I write it. So I then transcribe it onto my laptop. And first of all, before I go any further, I would like to make an apology for something that I said in my last video, which I got a date wrong. I said the Pluto return for the US was going to be taking place on the 22nd of February, and it is in fact the 20th of February. So 2 days prior to what I said it was going to be. So I will also be adding more information on this channel about that as well as we get closer to that date. It is a huge event that is going to change not only the US but the rest of the world as well, because this is a Pluto return cycle which we're finishing out after 246 years, nearly 250 years of Pluto doing its complete cycle, going through all the signs, and now it's returning to that 27 degree point of where it was when the US was born, really, when kind of like in 1776 on the 4th of July, and the founding fathers kind of wrote the Declaration and the Constitution, and we've seen a lot of upheaval around all this since, really. I suppose Pluto entered Capricorn. It's really kind of come into its own kind of force since 2020, but as it's got closer and closer to that 27 degrees point, but like Pluto entering Capricorn was already kind of bringing that cycle into its closing stages, and that happened back in 2008, and there was a major event that happened then as well, which I will also talk more about at another time. But this is the Cancerian full moon reading, and so I'm going to get on and focus my attention on the Cancerian full moon reading. For anybody who's interested in finding out more about their own placements and things, there will be a link in the description box down below for you to go and check that out for yourselves. And this reading I am calling The Power of Our Emotional Knowing. And so, as ever, when the divine masculine sun energy opposes the divine feminine moon energy, is the time of a full moon. Full moon is usually a culminating energy, or it is always a culminating energy. It's when something comes to a crescendo, it kind of ends something so that something else can be reborn when we get round to the new moon. So it's kind of closing out stage. So this is the first of the full moons of 2022, and it's taking place on the 17th of January in the Cardinal initiating energy of the feeling, intuitive, empathic first water sign of Cancer. It is occurring once again at the 27 degrees 50 or 28 degrees point, and here in the UK it will be taking place at 23 hours 48 minutes in the UK time, and it's going to be different in other parts of the world, so check that out for wherever you are. If you have any planets or points at the 22 degrees 50 minutes to the 29 degrees 59 of the sensitive moon ruled sign, you will be feeling the full emotional force of this peak energy full moon. As will anyone with planets or points in the opposing energy of Capricorn at the same degrees, also fellow cardinal signs of Libra and Aries, who are more challenging angles of 90 degrees or squares at this time. As this full moon is at the last degrees of Cancer, the energy here, once again, is going to stretch into the following signs as well, the follow-on signs. So Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus, of course. Anything between the 0 to 50 degrees of, or around about 3 degrees of those signs, if you've got anything in any of those, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio and Taurus, all the fixed energies, then you are going to have, well, you are going to be affected by it. You are going to have some emotional pull from this full moon in Cancer. It is something that is going to affect you, particularly if you've got anything in those degrees. So check out your own personal chart to see where the house placements of these 22 degrees 50 to 02 degrees 50 of Cancer and Leo will play out for you on an individual level. So again, if you're interested, check out the description box down below, and there will be a link for a astrological chart for your own signs, where you will find out as well, you can find out which house placement the full moon is going to fall in for you, because that will make a difference as to how it materializes in your own personal life. So for the collective, however, this full moon is taking place in the 4th house of the womb of the zodiac. So this full moon is the 4th in a row of full moons happening at the 27 degree point of the signs. And to say this is a powerful full moon is a huge understatement. This full moon is all about power, with the Sun conjunct Pluto at 26 degrees 29 minutes in Capricorn, and Pluto also opposing the moon in Cancer. In the 4th house, the moon is in her home sign of the mother, the nurturer, the caring, sensitive, protective, home-loving, security-providing, highly emotional and vulnerable aspects of this very feminine energy. It's also an energy of memories and also of like the past as well. So bringing up things from the past and memories that are still kind of very poignant, shall we say, at this time. So during these next 2 weeks, we are going to experience these Cancerian themes very strongly, and it will probably be in ways that are going to be a challenge by figures of authority, who may well push the protective, nurturing, the desire to keep safe and protect our vulnerable young and old to the absolute limit within power struggles. So there's going to be power coming from both sides. So the power is going to come from the authority, and yet at the same time the power is also going to come from the people, from mothers, fathers in particular, because this is a very home related but nurturing, as I was saying, very nurturing related full moon, caring, empathic, and it is also about vulnerability as well, protecting the vulnerable, those who can't take care of themselves. So there are some very interesting other aspects taking place at this time. Both the Sun and the Moon are in squares with Eris, who still hasn't passed the same 23 degree point that she has been at nearly all of 2021. Well, she has actually passed it. She did pass the 23 degree mark, and then she went retrograde back in August. So she's now gone back to that 23 point. So she's really going down on that 23 point, like really drilling into it. It's kind of like really focus of attention, that 23 point of Aries. So if you've got anything at that 23 degree point, then you are going to be feeling this kind of this need to express and show your how can you put it, your feisty, like not give in to authority. There's a side of Eris that does not give in. She kind of fights back, and she will not kind of just back off, and particularly in Aries, because Aries is that warrior nature energy as well. And so we have Eris at that 23 degree point, square with the sun and the moon at this time as well. So this is also at this time, the full moon in Cancer is creating an extreme T-square with the feisty female warrioress energy, who is helping to drive forward this need for personal sovereignty and equality, and she is the focal point of attention as well. So that's going to bring it all out from behind the scenes, so to speak. It's really going to bring like the fight to the street, shall we say. No more kind of messing about, no more allowing to ourselves to be told what we can and can't do. This is a feisty full moon with also a lot of power energy behind it as well, because of that opposition and conjunction that's happening with Pluto. So she is the sister of Mars, and she's also the side of her personality that will stand up and call out the wrongs. Eris does not back down easily, and in Aries, in this T-square with both the Mother Moon energy and the Father Sun energy, she is fired up for action and challenging us to stand on the front line for the protection, safety and security of all the vulnerable everywhere, especially the children. Eris at 23 degrees 41 minutes is also still in that behind the scenes square with Pluto that has been occurring throughout 2020 and 21, which is bringing out even more desire for upheaval, discord, and the need to express our sovereign rights as individuals over our own bodies. Adding to this Pluto energy at this time has been the Sun, conjunct with the Lord of the Underworld, death, decay, tyranny, and the ultimate power of bringing things to an end since the 6th of January. That's when they started to become conjunct, when the Sun and Pluto started to meet up, since the 6th of January, which was that really interesting date for the US as well. So this has really been putting an extra level of emphasis on these Pluto themes. This conjunction became exact on the 16th of January at 26 degrees and 26 minutes, the day previous to the full moon. So the Pluto energy is going to be in the full glare of both the Sun and the Moon. This is not only going to be a time of deep purging on the planet, both individually and collectively, as Pluto also governs over toxins and poisons. Just like the symbol that represents it, the scorpion with the deadly sting in its tail, incredibly symbolic of what those in power believe they have the right to force upon us. It is also going to be a time of facing our deepest fears. Pluto is both destruction and creation, hence why it is known as the planet of death, birth and transformation. And opposing the moon, our soul, the collective emotions, we are having to face that power full on. Sorry, lost where I was there. We are going to need to be brave enough at this time to ask ourselves, who do we defer that power of life and death, creation and destruction to? Is this power within our own hands? Do we have the power to decide this over our own lives? And as parents, particularly mothers who have the ability to nurture the creative life force within us, before channeling it through our bodies and bringing it into the world in physical form, the moon in Cancer is amplifying all those protective, safety, security instincts of the mothering energy. And whichever way this manifests, it will be powerful and affect us all on an evolutionary level in the long term. However, due to the nature of Pluto, this could be a double-edged sword as to whether that protection will be of an ultimate destructive nature, made from a decision of the lower vibration of fear, or whether it will be one of creation made from a higher vibration of instinctual trust and knowing. Eris is also, as I have spoken about previously, still in a long ongoing opposition with another dwarf planet, Haumea, at 29 degrees 57 in Libra. This is the Hawaiian volcanic goddess of fertility, creativity and regeneration. She is very symbolic of the new earth and what is coming into being at this time. Haumea is also in a square with Pluto and our Sun, as well as with our moon, creating another T-square. However, what we get here is in fact a very rare grand cross, which is manifested through the two oppositions from the Sun, conjunct Pluto opposing the Moon, along with Eris opposing Haumea, while all four are also square, which is why it can also be known as a grand square. This particular one is a cardinal grand cross, which means all the cardinal signs of Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn are all going to be activated, thereby strongly wanting to take action, initiate, begin something with dynamic drive and passion. A cardinal grand cross deals with issues of power abuse and tyranny among leaders. It challenges us to bring justice, harmony and balance to those in positions of power, who use this to rule over us, as well as making us look at our own use of authoritarian judgment, responsibility, and the need for more kindness in our approach to others. This full moon in Cancer sees some major shifts in energy. Uranus at 10 degrees 49 minutes is almost at a standstill, as he will be stationed in direct the following day. His energy is now being massively amplified, so all he represents is being ramped up to the max. This means we are going to experience a lot of instability, chaos, uncertainty and change. This could manifest as an increase in volcanoes, especially with Haumea as part of this cardinal grand cross. Look out for this kind of volcanic activity. And I don't know how many of you are aware of the big explosion that just happened. I think it was yesterday with, trying to think of the name, Hungatunga or something, volcano. Big explosion that kind of like erupted out of the ocean and has literally kind of like split the island into two halves now. So whereas before there was these two volcanoes, one on either side of the island, and now there's just this one hole which is kind of covered over by sand and water, so you can't really see it, but the two edges of the island are still there, and there's just this big gap of sand and water in between. It's really quite bizarre. It looks like butterfly wings kind of sticking out of the water. Very odd. But anyway, so that is kind of like the activity that I'm talking about, that we're going to see a lot more of as well. And so it's going to be increasing the amount of eruptions or the actual velocity of them, so the impact from them, how much kind of earth is, or lava or whatever is disturbed and moved in one impact. Uranus is eruptive, explosive, electrifying, and in Taurus he can and will make the ground shift. Again, this can literally be earth movements, as in earthquakes, tremors, landslides, or this can be figuratively within our reality of the world around us, as in political, etc. But another interesting thing as well that I saw recently was that rock slide that just happened out of nowhere, where those boats kind of got unfortunately smashed by these massive rocks that just kind of fell. So a lot more of that kind of thing is going to be happening with Uranus now stationed, or stationing, about to station direct, and as he kind of begins to move forward as well, he's going to be creating a lot more upheaval. Again, okay, so just with that bit, at this full moon in Cancer, Uranus is still square with Saturn at 13 degrees 49 minutes in Aquarius, and the battle for the old paradigm, Saturn, versus the new paradigm, Uranus, continues, which is something else that we're seeing playing out, particularly in the US at this time, the old trying to keep hold of its grasp and kind of its power control, whereas the new energy, the Uranus energy, wants to come in, and also if you think about Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius as well, Aquarius being the people, the grassroots energy, is what's wanting to break out and break free. So so this is an ongoing battle, and it's all part of this Pluto return as well, which is very interesting. Okay, so where am I? Pardon me. What is much more interesting here, though, is the trine that is being made to a retrograde Venus at 13 degrees 43 minutes, which is also semi-sextile Saturn. Uranus is in the sign of the Venus-ruled bull, and the second house themes of our material wealth, possessions, what we value, our physical bodily vehicle, the resources of Mother Earth. So basically, Uranus is trining Venus at this time. A retrograde Venus is being trined by Uranus as well, and of course Venus is the ruler of Taurus, which is where the where Uranus is, and this energy is going to be felt most strongly. And so the second house themes that are going to be affected by this Uranus energy is our material wealth, our possessions, what we value, our physical bodily vehicle, the resources of Mother Earth herself, particularly food, and how we sustain our well-being. All of these aspects are going to experience inevitable but unpredictable change. The other sign that Venus rules over, Libra, is also part of the Cardinal Grand Cross via Haumea, who is also in an uncomfortable, doesn't feel right, quincunx with Ceres, Demeter, the Roman Greek goddess of agriculture, grains, particularly wheat, and Ceres is where we get the word cereal from. So you can see the link there between the energies of Ceres and our agriculture. Ceres is at 27 degrees 59 minutes, or 29 degrees of the Earth-ruled bull, and she epitomizes the idea of resources for survival, while Haumea is at 29 degrees 57, the anaretic or critical point of the air-ruled sign of the Scales. So that's what the quincunx is about. It's about this energy that doesn't gel, it doesn't get on at all, doesn't understand each other, coming from completely different places. That's what a quincunx is. But Hermia is also being at that 29 degrees at anoretic point. She's also exhausted. She's gone through Libra and she's almost left to move forward into Scorpio. She's so close. So she's kind of like not really at her best at this time, so it kind of gives Ceres that little bit more of an edge, shall we say. And Ceres at this time is in Taurus as well, which is quite a comfortable place for her to be. But she's also just about to leave Taurus as well and getting closer to that anoretic point for herself too. She has actually been into Gemini and retrograded back into Taurus, and so she's now kind of covering that same ground again, moving back into Gemini. So before Hermia actually gets to leave Libra and move into Scorpio, however, she is going to station retrograde on the 28th of January, which is also the day prior to Venus stationing direct as well. So that's also quite interesting. So her energy is magnified too, as she has already slowed right down. So Hermia's energy is magnified. Even though she's exhausted, her energy is still magnified, and she's kind of bit fed up, I would say, at this time. So again, keep an eye on the volcanoes as well as the food industry in general, as both these goddesses are to do with fertility, creativity, and the raw force of nature in general, and how we could be affected at this time by natural disasters around all things to do with our abundance. As I spoke about previously, a quincunx, because of its angles of 150 degrees, is always like trying to bring together elements that have nothing in common and just don't want to mix. The energy in a quincunx is very strong and creates a lot of tension, as both of these energies' conversations with each other is coming from vastly different places of understanding, and both want to be recognised as being more relevant. Ceres is also in a trine with both the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn, as well as a sextile to the full moon in Cancer. Something else Ceres was revered for was the love a mother has for her child, which is why she was also known as the Magna Mater, or the Great Mother, which fits in nicely with the Cancerian energy of the desire to protect and keep safe the vulnerable. And she is sextile the moon, the full moon as well. So really kind of bringing that energy to life at this time, this mothering energy, this nurturing, caring, empathic energy of wanting to take care. And they do say that a mother will protect her child, and it's like, you know, the most dangerous place to be is between a mother bear or a mother lion and her cubs. It's like, you don't do that. You just don't put yourself in that situation if you've got any sense. So that's kind of the energy I feel that we're kind of, that is being generated, shall we say, at this full moon in Cancer. Even though Cancer is a very gentle energy and a gentle sign, with that Pluto energy kind of charging it up in opposition, it's really kind of bringing it, and this T-square with Eris as well, it's really kind of bringing that feisty kind of like, don't mess with me and my children kind of energy into the foreground. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that as we go forward. Yeah, so this tells me something very profound is going to happen, which involves the line being crossed when it comes to our children. Another reason for this is the lesser known asteroid Juno is sitting at 24 degrees 3 of Capricorn, conjunct both Pluto and the Sun, opposing the full moon in Cancer. Juno, also known as Hera in the Greek, is the wife of Jupiter, or Zeus, Greek version. Therefore, she was the queen of the goddesses and was known as a champion of women when it came to the value of domestic duties, including motherhood. Not only is Juno connecting with the Sun, Pluto, and the Moon, she is also in a very tight square to feisty, discordant, troublemaking Eris. It was Eris who was responsible for the 100-year War of Troy because of the golden apple she threw into the wedding party that she herself had not been invited to, which landed at the feet of the three goddesses, Hera, Juno, Aphrodite, Venus, and Athene or Minerva. Written on the apple were the words "for the fairest," which caused it's a whole nother story, a whole nother Greek story about what happened there, but basically it ended up with the 100-year War of Helen of Troy being the prize, which was never a good thing because she was married in the first place. And Juno is also about relationships and like long-lasting commitments as well. So, and she is actually in Capricorn at this time. Yeah, right next to Pluto and the Sun. So that energy is kind of also being kind of really highlighted at this time, especially with Venus retrograde, all about relationships and our values, and all of this is kind of being what's the word, kind of being I feel like saying kind of disturbed, kind of like being really kind of like being dug up at this time, to kind of be really given a good look and to see what it is that we need to change and transform and evolve. It's like the old ways have to go. So this full moon is packed with tense, disruptive energy, just waiting to break out, break free, and radically transform our lives. So helping us to achieve this is a retrograde Mercury, who's now at 9 degrees and 8 minutes of Aquarius. Mercury stationed retrograde on the 14th of January at 10 degrees 18 minutes, during which time Mercury was conjunct Saturn at 13 degrees 21 Aquarius and square Uranus at 10 degrees 49 minutes of Taurus. Mercury is our lower mind of day-to-day thinking, data, information, functioning, the tasks we have to do on a daily basis. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. He's those spontaneous solutions to problems or new ideas that come out of the blue, the eureka moments that can and do change the course of human history. Sadly, a lot of these incredible innovative ideas that would help to improve the life of humanity have been hidden away and censored from the world. Kind of very much a Saturn energy, in fact. So kind of like Mercury has just turned retrograde conjunct Saturn, so it's kind of like keeping things under wraps at this time. Saturn kind of restrictive energy, doesn't want Mercury to let out too much information, to give too much away. So and they're both in Aquarius as well, so that is that kind of innovative energy. So Saturn is kind of saying to Mercury, kind of keep things under wraps at the moment. At this full moon, we are likely to experience some radical new ways of dealing with the old problems or issues that have been restricting us in our lives, as these connections continue from a couple of days prior, while both Mercury and Uranus were in the process of coming to a halt. So they were both kind of coming to, like, Uranus was completely slowing down because he's getting ready to station direct on the 18th, and Mercury was slowing down because he was stationing on the 14th. So the two of them were both kind of slowing down at the same time. They were starting to square each other as well. So both of those energies of Mercury and Uranus have been amplified at this time. And the themes of the planets involved, so both were about to station in the sky. Mercury before the full moon and Uranus just about 24 hours later. Uranus, of course, is the maverick. He's the rebel. He's here to shake things up. And when square to both Mercury and Saturn, he is, oddly enough, challenging us to think outside our normal limited box, which is where Saturn wants to keep everything. Saturn wants to keep it all in that limited, kind of very restricted, traditional, restrained kind of box. Like, don't go beyond those boundaries because you don't know what might happen if you go out there kind of energy. But Uranus is kind of saying to both Mercury and Saturn, it's time to think outside that box. It's time to allow yourself to stop limiting. To allow our thoughts to have some freedom for the new and as yet unexperienced to come in. So this square with Uranus will continue up to the 22nd of January. Before then, however, Mercury will be connecting with the Sun at 29 degrees in and out of sign conjunction. In and out of sign conjunction. So Mercury's going to be in Aquarius, the Sun is still going to be in Capricorn, the Sun is going to be at that 29 degree point again, and more tension, more kind of exhaustion. The Sun just wants to push through now and get into Aquarius. It's known as that critical point where something can explode out of the blue, and like things can happen very suddenly with that kind of energy at that degree. So the Sun is also going to be coming into a conjunction with Mercury, but Mercury is still going to be in Aquarius when he gets to about 8 degrees, which is just before the Sun leaves Capricorn on the 20th of January. So I just need to take a drink. Sorry about that. So this feels like an even bigger mass conscious shift and awakening, like many light bulbs all being switched on at once, connecting dots, situations and issues that before now were a lot harder to see or make sense of. For some, this experience could bring whole new neural pathways alive, as Uranus is the electric force. For many, it is a time of no longer clinging to the old ways and of no longer allowing the wool to be pulled over our eyes. This conjunction with the Sun is going to help us feel a sense of clarity, insight and opening up of the mind to the higher conscious awareness, as Mercury is going to pass back over the Sun yet again at 03 degrees 22 minutes on the 26th of January in Aquarius. The sign of humanity, grassroots gatherings, networking, the value of the individual person within the whole group, giving us a much greater ability for new ideas and visions for a better collective future of wholeness and holistic living. Being in retrograde, Mercury is also going back over the same ground he entered since 29th of December, when he entered his shadow at 24 degrees 22 minutes of Capricorn. he will be entering back into Capricorn on the 26th of January, where he will once again become conjunct with Pluto exact at 26 degrees 51 minutes on the 29th. What's really interesting about that is the fact that this 26 degrees is quite important. It's where Pluto and Venus recently met up, and Venus went retrograde at that 26 degree point. But Venus and Pluto also met up at that same point the previous year in 2021, January 2021 I think it was, that they met up there. So that point is really quite important. And Mercury is also going to be retrograding back to 24 degrees as well. So he will also be kind of activating that point, because that's also where they are going to become conjunct. He will actually go back a little bit further, and he will station at 24 degrees. But he'll still be conjunct that point, and he'll still be conjunct Pluto at the time that he does that as well. So that 26 degrees or 51, which is almost that 27 point, but 26 degrees. So look at your own charts again to see which house that falls in, because it is going to be a very significant point, because it is the 27 degree point as well that Pluto is going to be exact, returning for the US charts, which is going to have an effect on the whole world. So it's worth knowing where that point is for you in particular as well. So that 26 to 27 degree point is really kind of activated at this time. Also because when Venus comes back, she will also come out of shadow at that point as well, because that was where she went retrograde. So when she comes back out of this retrograde after stationing direct on the 29th, she won't actually reach that point until March, but she will be coming out of her shadow at that degree as well. So this conjunction is also helping us to give voice to those who hold power over us as well, allowing us to speak up and allowing us to express how we feel. When Mercury is retrograde, he's going back to take a second look at what we have just been through. He's giving us another chance to change our mind, to make a different decision, or to take an alternative path. This is a time to reevaluate our future plans, to reassess the decisions we have made. A time of questioning and looking for answers. How are we going to reach that long-term stability we are hoping to achieve, particularly in Capricorn? It is also a time to ask ourselves, what are we going to commit to on a long-term basis? It is not, however, a time to act on any of this, just to allow our thoughts to mull over the process. The time for action will be later, when Mercury turns direct on the 4th of February, but better still to wait until the 24th or 25th, if possible, when he will be out of his shadow, as Mercury can be a bit of a trickster energy, leading us astray through lack of understanding and confusion, especially when he's in his retrograde shadow period. So this conjunction with Pluto at the later stages of Capricorn is likely to also see those in positions of power try to use their words to instill their tyranny even more forcefully. However, this will also give rise to power from the people, challenging their idea of authority. The revealing of hidden technologies that could have benefited humankind before now is, I believe, going to be a major theme throughout 2022 and into 2023, with even more backlash coming from within the collective when the reality hits home of how much suffering could have been prevented if it wasn't for the selfishness of the few. Also on the 29th of January, Venus will be stationed in direct, having gone through her journey in the underworld as part of her transformative cycle from an evening star to becoming a morning one. This part of her metamorphosis is known as her Luciferian stage. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like that word, who have a problem with the word Lucifer or Luciferian. But the word Lucifer literally means the bringer or bearer of light, which Venus is, especially as the morning star, because Venus can only be seen on the western horizon at the very early hours before dawn, before the rising of the sun hides her. So she has now become the herald of the divine masculine. So she has now become the bringer of the light. She kind of heralds the rising of the sun now, the dawn. She's the dawn star, if you like, which was known as Lucifer, the bringer or bearer of the light literally being the sun. But of course, when the sun comes up, Venus is no longer able to be seen. So this process began on the 3rd of January, when Venus and the sun started to become conjunct, and she began to move between the earth and the sun. Now hidden by the light of the sun, she became invisible. For Venus, this was like the cocoon stage, during which time on the 9th of January, she and the sun became conjunct exact at 18 degrees 43 minutes. This conjunction continues until the 14th, or continued until the 14th of January, which time we are going to be feeling the need for retrospection. Sorry, just fixing something there. Yeah, so we're going to be feeling like this retrospective energy, like retraction of our emotions outwardly. We're going to become much more withdrawn, going within, retrospective, kind of going over our emotions, our feelings. And as the sun shines his light from the 3rd to the 14th onto some deeply hidden aspects of ourselves, sides we have pushed away and refused to acknowledge, it is a time of recognition of our deepest pain, allowing ourselves to feel what we are feeling without any excuses as to why we are best off leaving it alone. This will not suffice, and we are not doing ourselves any favours by trying to ignore our emotions, as this is about acceptance of ourselves on a deep internal heart level. And this energy, as I was saying, culminated on the 14th, and it was on the 14th that Venus re-emerged as a morning star. Although she's still in deep contemplation until the end of the month, because that's when she will actually station retrograde. So she's still retrograde, she's still going through that deep journey, looking within, questioning our values, questioning our relationships with ourselves, our self-worth, our money, our financial belief system, if you like, our values around money, our values around how we live our life, relating to our needs, the things that we need to do for ourselves to take care of ourselves. So Venus has now been reborn and re-energized. When Venus first stationed retrograde on the 19th of December, Chiron also stationed direct at the same time, magnifying and signifying that this was a major significant healing of the heart that Venus was about to explore. Venus is saying in Capricorn she is looking for integrity. She wants what is real, heartfelt emotions. She is not just looking for a stopgap, a short-term fling, someone to just fill that space in the meantime. And when Venus crosses back over Pluto on the 3rd of March, many relationships will already be in the dust, while many others will have risen like a phoenix from the ashes. It's interesting because I'm already reading stories about how people are splitting up over this medical procedure, shall we say. How one person may feel really strongly about it one way, and another person, their partner, feels very strongly about it another way. And if there's children involved, it's even worse, of course, because, you know, they've both got different opinions on it. So this kind of thing is causing major upheavals in people's relationships, and it is literally dividing relationships and families right the way across the board as to how people respond to their values. What is their value there? And if you can't fix it, then you need to get out of it. It's as simple as that. If you can't come to some kind of agreement on that kind of issue, that's like a major kind of divide. And I am hearing stories, like I was saying, of people already kind of going to the divorce courts because of these differences of opinions, which may never have come up previously. Anyway, so another major shift of energy was the movement of jovial Jupiter into the watery, deeply subconscious realm of Pisces at the end of December. Having already been there for a short stay from May last year, before stationing retrograde. So whatever was begun from mid-May to the 3rd week of June, that came to a crashing halt, may well come back around as Jupiter came out of his shadow of 02 degrees 11 on the 9th of January, which was the point that he got up to before he retrograded and went back into Aquarius. So if you can look back at that period of time from round about like mid-May to, like I was saying, the 3rd week of June, and whatever, if there was anything for you that came up in particular, something that you started or was beginning to kind of get off the ground, and then it just seemed to kind of fall, crash, halt, kind of, it just stopped, then there's a possibility that that energy may come back around. And there's a lot of things coming back around. It seems to be that kind of energy that we're in at this time. Possibly so, like with this Pluto return as well, just so that things can be ended out fully and completely. So like with Venus retrograde, a lot of relationships are coming back to see whether or not, you know, if there's things that need to be resolved, worked through, just to kind of put an end to it, or just to kind of like, or to kind of see if there can be something transformed and reborn out of that energy as well. And also with the Mercury retrograde, same kind of thing, things coming back around again, kind of taking another closer look and inspection at things. So that seems, it is like a bit of a theme at this time. So at the time of this Cancerian full moon, Jupiter is still in a long ongoing T-square with the karmic nodes. So that's another T-square that we've got there as well, which is another reason why there's a lot of tension within this full moon Cancer energy. Lots of T-squares, lots of squaring energy, tension building up. With the karmic nodes of the moon as well. So during this whole period, Jupiter has been delivering a whole lot of information, data and truth, asking us to become our own researchers, not to just accept what we hear, read, believe to be true, but to question everything we are told. This T-square is coming to an end on the 22nd of the month. Just before then, however, one of the major changes of 2022 happens on the 19th, when both the nodes move signs, as the North Node moves into the sign of Taurus and the South Node into Scorpio. Again, those Venus-Pluto themes very strongly highlighted at this time, which is where they will stay for the next 18 months, which means our whole focus of attention is going to be on these Venus and second house themes until July 2023. And with Uranus still making his way through Taurus, we will experience major ground moving shifts, shocks, surprises and awakening unexpected experiences. Jupiter in Pisces is going to expand our spiritual connection to the whole. We will be dreaming bigger, feeling more optimistic. Many may feel pulled towards the psychic realm as well as all and any creative pursuits, especially around the themes of truth, freedom, championing the underdog and justice could all see a new kind of rebirth or renaissance, as Neptune corresponds to the higher vision of love from a spiritual nature, compassion being the higher octave. This conjunction will be taking place on the 12th of April in the UK at 23 degrees. There's that 23 degrees again, very important at this time. The last time Neptune was at that same degree was in 1858, during which time he was also sextile Jupiter in Taurus. But prior to that, they had come together in Pisces in 1856 at 18 degrees 13 minutes. So Neptune was discovered in 1846, and up to then Jupiter was the ruler of Pisces. So he is at home in the boundaryless Piscean energy, as Jupiter is himself always trying to push beyond the boundary of where he has been to explore and discover new territory. And so, talking of new territory, Mars is still continuing to traverse the sign of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, the planet of good fortune and good luck, who's now at 25 degrees 15 minutes and is starting to activate that point of the sign that connects with the cosmos, the ever-expanding universe and source energy, the galactic center, which is once more bringing the galactic frequency into our conscious awareness and giving Mars a new sense of destiny, courage and bravery to pursue that destiny wherever it may lead. At this time, Mars is opposing Black Moon Lilith at 20 degrees 20 minutes, so the tension is building up between these energies with Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. We are going to be seeing information, secret communications, hidden data being brought out into the light as Mars is looking for the truth. Talking of which, Mars is also activating that 27 degree point where the Sun and where the Gemini full moon took place as well, at that 27 degree point of Sagittarius, not that long back. So Mars is reactivating all of that energy as well, and with Black Moon Lilith still in Gemini, that energy again, it's kind of reactivating that whole area of the Sagittarius searching, seeking for truth, and Black Moon Lilith being an energy of kind of keeping things hidden. So she is the energy of the darkness that resides within us all, but manifests itself most strongest in things that are, in a healthy society, considered taboo, unacceptable, not normal, even socio and psychopathic. She is also the raw, righteous rage and indignation we feel when we realise we have been lied to and deceived by underhand backroom dealings and corruption. What is going to make this feel even worse for us is another T-square that is being created through the connection with Neptune. at the same time. Neptune is the veil between our perceived reality and how things truly are. Neptune can weave a magic spell to hypnotize and bewitch us into deluded states of being. It's the reason hallucinogenics are ruled by this planet. However, once you choose to strip away that veil, that illusory world of existence, you can never go back to seeing the world around you with the same eyes you once did. This, I feel, is where we are heading, as some choose to stay under the deep slumber they have fallen into. Many others are now choosing to look behind the veil to see what has been hidden in plain sight. This is a moment when the truth, as they say, really will set you free, even if, and probably more so, if that truth is unpleasant. So these last 2 weeks of January are going to be full of intense, high voltage, emotional shifting of energy. Following on from the full moon on the 17th, Uranus stations direct on the 18th, followed by the moon's nodes and our karmic destiny shifting on the 19th into Taurus and Scorpio, making a retrograde Venus the ruler and our new guiding light. Then the next day, the sun leaves Capricorn and enters Aquarius. Life is on the move. As we no longer have any outer planets in retrograde, we can expect to see an acceleration and some major changes, both collectively and individually. So the Sabian symbol for the 27 degrees of Cancer is, and this is really interesting, a storm in a residential canyon filled with valuable homes. So this symbol implies that you may find yourself much deeper in situations than you had planned, but you find yourself restrained by the walls about you and the turbulence happening in and around you. Strong emotions or events may be unleashed, and there may be no escape from the turbulence that is around. The best thing to do is wait it out and protect yourself the best you can. In fact, endeavouring to contain the energy could result in more damage. Things will settle down and peace will reign once more. Arguments and emotional confrontations emerge as a result of the pressure cooker, which is in environments in modern day living. So psychic energy being unleashed on the community or the environment, furious emotions, unexpected releases of power and turbulence, the awesome power of nature, instability. Wrongly believing that you are in control of an uncontrollable situation, enjoyment and promotion of emotional storms and turmoil, whipping things up, storms. So that kind of really sums up for me the whole of this Cancerian full moon. It is so powerful, truly powerful. I mean, I think that just really says it all. It's kind of like, you know, batten down the hatches kind of thing, really, because the storm is coming and it's coming fast and furious, and nobody is going to be able to completely escape, really. Everybody's life is going to be touched by this in some form, some way, as over the next year everything really starts to crumble around us, and all the structures and all the things that we relied on and thought would always be there, were always going to be kind of our solid foundation, are completely falling apart. All of it completely falling apart, especially as Taurus, like the North Node moves into Taurus and the South Node moves into Scorpio. That's a whole nother story, but Scorpio is very much about power, sexuality, abuse of both as well, and that's going to come out very, very strongly. So for the 27 degrees of Capricorn, we get a mountain pilgrimage. So this symbol shows being able to climb high, to rise to occasions, perform well, have a mission, and probably most importantly, to embark on spiritual journeys. Many people travel, but more often than not, it implies a spiritual striving, an ascent in consciousness, and the ability to transcend earthier, more immediate matters. Sorry, pardon me. There is always the desire or the need to strive further, to learn more on the path to understanding and transcendence. You may want to follow those that have gone before to achieve a true sense of inner fulfillment. Work towards your own mountaintop. The effort may be great, but so are the rewards. Ascending consciousness, setting off on a mission, spiritual material, corporate or political striving, rarefied atmospheres, spiritual journeys, striving for the highest office. High moral stand with no depth of feeling, feeling high above others, cutting off aloneness and separation, haughtiness, intellectual snobbery, untouchable. So they're interesting two Sabian symbols there. Both I feel are quite relevant. I'm going to sum up what it is that is happening to us at this time. So I forgot to read my two animal cards which came out earlier, which I was going to do first, but I got caught up in the apology for not doing the not telling you the right date for this Pluto return. So very quickly, the skunk energy here is saying know your worth, which I think is very relevant at this time as well. Know your worth is kind of something that we're all being pushed towards, I feel, as well. Knowing our worth, knowing to stand up for ourselves, when to do so. And this actually came out reverse. In fact, both of these came out in reverse. So I'm going to read what's known as the protection message here. And it says, not everyone, I'm going to put my glasses up as well because I can't read it like that. Not everyone will appreciate you. Many people have issues of their own to address and you may trigger something in them. But if so, no matter. Skunk Spirit calls you to be fully yourself without apology. Now is a time for honesty and admitting that something does not sit right for you. You deserve the self-respect that comes when you courageously choose to stand up for yourself and speak your truth in love. Remember who you are and what really matters to you. And act with integrity. You will be so glad you did. So this could be related to the Mercury retrograde. It could also be related to the Venus energy, but it is about standing up for ourselves. It could also be to do with the power, authority figures. Number 10. And number 10 is the Buffalo Spirit, which is all about abundance, but it came out in reverse. So it's about lack of abundance, which kind of goes along with the Ceres energy, I feel, as well. This kind of disruptive energy of not having enough. So when Buffalo Spirit visits you with a message of protection, he is asking you to shift your thinking from poverty consciousness to one where you trust the universe will provide. Have you been falling into financial insecurity, worrying that there will not be enough money in the future? Have you been stressing and feeling sorry for yourself, worrying that because you have no romantic relationship now, you will never have one? Do you see scarcity where there is in fact abundance? Are you comparing yourself to others and falling short? Self-pity, entitlement, fear and lack are all thought viruses that seduce you into darkness. Buffalo Spirit nudges you to make a gratitude list and be mindful of your thoughts at this time. Even if outer events have happened to challenge your beliefs in abundance, outer conditions are temporary. If you are suffering from the malaise of fear that you are impoverished, realize that it is only poverty of perception and perspective. Prayer, communion with your higher power, and gratitude coupled with compassion, selfless service will snap you right out of it. Give to someone who has less than you. Be thankful for the tiniest things and say affirmations. Then you will remember abundance is the true nature of the world. So, what time are we at? Okay, let's very quickly pull a crystal card. A crystal card for this full moon energy in Cancer, please. Source. Full moon energy in Cancer. I also forgot to do the Moonology cards as well. We're in a bit of a forgetful phase. Then Mercury is retrograde, so that can be allowed. So, oh, there we go. What do we have? We have Celestine, by the looks of things. Celestite generosity, which is interesting because we just got this one in reverse, abundance and lack. So generosity. And what are you saying? Generosity, number 9. Wrong book. See, Mercury retrograde all over the place. Don't know what I'm doing. So it's the throat chakra and it's blue. Although it looks slightly pinkish as well. Mercury, communication energy, really, throat chakra, all about speaking our power. So there is no shortage of emptiness in the world. Empty pockets, empty jobs, empty marriages. But the most tragic example of emptiness is the empty spirit. An empty spirit may have been drained by hopelessness, loneliness, fear or resentment. When people feel spiritually impoverished, their tendency is to hold on desperately to what little reserve they have. The remedy for this emptiness is not in hoarding, it is in giving. Even if they feel they have nothing to give, generosity is the medicine they need in order to heal. Generosity fills the void of an empty spirit as water fills an empty vessel. Generosity is love pouring from one heart into another. It is response to the cries of distress you hear around you. It is touching another's soul with compassion. Listen with your heart to the hearts of others. They will tell you how you can help. There are many ways on the physical level that you can share your generosity with others. You might prepare a gift of food, you could donate clothing or contribute to a charity. Offering a warm bed to a friend who is temporarily without shelter is a gift of generosity. You could also volunteer your time to help the homeless, shut-ins or those with serious illnesses. We understand that the giving of one's time, help or home is not always a simple matter. You probably already have more in your life than you can handle. Your immediate family, your job, relatives that need special attention, endless meetings to attend and scheduling nightmares. You may need to consider practical matters before getting involved, but the true spirit of generosity does not come from the rational, analytical part of yourself. Generosity is spontaneous. It is hearing another's often unspoken cry for help and answering in your heart without hesitation. It is an emotional, spiritual connection of empathy from one soul to another. When you feel your heart ache as you see the need in others, respond. Find a way to give of yourself without letting details or inconveniences get in the way of the expression of love. In your daily comings and goings, you may not pass the homeless on the street, see the loneliness of those in nursing homes, or experience the war-torn lives of those in other parts of the world. You may not immediately recognise that your co-workers, friends and family have unspoken problems or concerns. With your hectic lives, it is easy to become desensitised to your own needs as well as those around you. Look around you. Every day there are opportunities for giving and helping. Some humans believe that if you once start giving, there will be no end to it. You will get caught up in the process and become overburdened. This need not be true. If your gift of generosity to others is somehow robbing you of your life or affecting you detrimentally, then you are not being generous enough with yourself. How can you expect to help others if you are not taking care of yourself? As you enjoy saying, charity begins at home. The more you give, the more you receive. Whatever you give out, you will find returned to you, at least tenfold. With true generosity, everyone is a winner and no one is a loser. Generosity benefits both the giver and the receiver, and everybody takes turns with these roles. The more freely you can give of yourself, the more of you there is to give. As you give, look at the intention behind your giving. Whether you give from a compassionate heart or from less than spiritual motives, your gift still may help someone. Then why should it matter? It matters for you. If you are not feeling true generosity towards others, you may have closed off your heart. If this situation applies to you, give it some attention. Soften your heart to all those in difficulty who touch your life. Many of them may present themselves to you so that you can have an experience with their need and your response to it. Their predicament is a gift to you for your growth. If you have drawn this card today, look at the issue of generosity in your life. Are you holding back from participating in a cause where you feel you could help? Are you denying the tugging at your heartstrings concerning a friend or family member's dilemma? Are you treating yourself with the care and kindness you deserve? We are the guardians of generosity between the physical and non-physical spheres. Our name suggests a tie with the celestial realm. We also work with the throat chakra, the centre of expression on the earthly plane. Our blue colour is like that of your sky, which you equate with the heavens. We are here to remind you of your connection with the divine virtues. These qualities are not only the province of angelic beings, they are part of who you are, waiting to be expressed. We of the Mineral Kingdom come to help you remember the expansiveness of the human heart. Your heart is not just a contained physical structure in the middle of your chest. The true essence of your heart is so big that it could swallow the universe. Do not hold back with your generosity for fear that you will empty yourself and become barren. Your supply of generosity is bottomless and infinite. Give us through all the universe. Give as though all the universe was yours to give. It is. We stand ready, dear friends, to help you in any way we can. So that's very Cancerian energy, I would say. Generosity, empathy, connecting with others who are in need, opening the heart, listening to the heart, listening to our own heart is the message, I think, that is being given to us here. And so on that note, I am going to finish the reading and say thank you very much to those of you who have come over to listen to it. I really do appreciate you being here. Thank you to those of you who have liked, subscribed and shared my videos. If you have liked this video, if you've learned anything from it, if you found it of any interest, please could you thumbs it up and give it a like for me, because it really does help to grow my channel and to just get my messages out there. Thank you very much again to those of you who have done that already. If you want to, tap that subscription button that will be on my video, and that little bell will turn up, and you can decide whether or not you want to get my videos as and when I put them out there. I do the full moon and all the new moon, and I will also be doing all the sun signs as well. There is playlists that you can go and look at, because I haven't done any of the sun signs recently. I have been busy doing other things, and there are no times, there's no dates on any of my previous sun readings. So if you kind of feel that it makes sense to you now, then now is when it's meant to be heard. It's your video for the time that you're listening to it. So also there's something else I was going to say, but it seems to have slipped my head. It always does, and then when I come, I go, that's what it was, which is really irritating. But yeah, so again, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good full moon. I mean, it's going to be a powerful full moon. Like I said, it feels like a time to batten down the hatches and kind of just really wait for that storm to pass over. But as this card's saying here as well, is kind of like, you know, at the same time we have to open up our hearts and forgive and let people into our lives that are less fortunate than ourselves as well, and to recognize that fact. Of course, with these two cards in reverse, one saying, you know, that we need to recognize our own self-worth and how much we need to value ourselves here as well. We are in interesting times. I will be putting out the tarot part of this reading as well. This is the astrology part of the reading, so that will also be going out, and I will probably also do the moonology cards that I forgot to do earlier today. I'll do that with the tarot reading that I do tomorrow. So take really good care of yourselves, and hopefully I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.